Should your SIPs worry you? Many of you must have started on the course of doing an SIP. If you are one of those who are very recent starters into SIPs, this podcast is for you. The point at which an SIP starts is very important. You can't start at any point. The starting point in the case of most market participants is usually near a market peak. Everybody who has not participated in a big rally tends to start an SIP near a market peak. Now, this is not wrong, but you need to understand that the journey you are undertaking is a very long one. And how should you approach a very long journey? That's a very straight and simple question. If you are going to do a very long journey, you need to have enough preparation, patience, planning, and endurance. So I remember that when my little girl used to accompany us on these long journeys, she would fall asleep a few minutes after we start driving. And after an hour, she would wake up and ask, "Have we reached?" I think most people who are looking at their SIPs with great anxieties are like my little daughter who gets anxious while making a very long journey. And once she knows that we have not really covered much distance, that would make her very cranky and she would protest, "Why haven't we reached our destination?" And this would go on and on and on. And by the time we are near our destination, she would have fallen fast asleep. The variant in the investment world is people who start at a market peak with an SIP tend to lose patience after 1 year itself. Just after covering a very small part of the distance that they originally intended to cover. And then they say, "We should have reached much longer. We haven't really done the kind of distance that we should have done in 1 year." The disappointment shows in many ways. The most popular one is, if I had not done this SIP and done a bank fixed deposit, then I would have at least made some income. Now, this is the typical protest that you hear. I can assure you that people who think like this will lose all patience over the next 1 year and probably leave investing in SIPs or equity. And what would be the bank deposit rates when they do this? My experience is people leave equity investing typically at the time when the interest rates given by banks are at the rock bottom. And they go and invest in debt investments, either of the same mutual funds or of banks. Now, this is typically how people end up not doing those long journeys that make them rich. And I see a lot of this impatience at this point in time. Another important aspect that everyone should remember is, one, the starting point where you started the SIP was not the best point. So how can you remedy it? You cannot really remedy it by exiting 2 years after that. It makes no sense. The only way you can remedy it is by ensuring that the choices you made at the starting point are still the best choices in the current scenario. You could be wrong. You could have chosen a wrong product based on past performance at the peak of the market. If you made such a mistake or error of choice, that judgment needs to be corrected. You need to basically move to a better product. You can't hope that the same product will come back and do well. Let me give you an example. Those who started SIPs in the previous bull markets started them in sectoral funds. In 2000 it was tech. It didn't make money even in the next bull market. In 2008 it was infra. It has still not made money. In 2018 it was micro cap, small cap and mid cap. And in my view, not all these three will come back and make money. We may see one do well in the next many years. So there is a need to understand what error of judgment you made at the wrong starting point. So you can't have both your starting point and your choices wrong. While you already made the start, the journey must go on, but your choices may need to be revised. So now is the time to at least choose wisely. Make sure that your earlier choice was wise or make a fresh choice. That is how an investor should worry about his SIPs and not question the basic judgment of investing in SIP itself. If you have started near a peak, understand that the journey will be longer than usual. So mentally you have to show enough endurance. Shifting to a fixed deposit or a debt product when interest rates are low is doubly dumb. So I would expect that the smart ones amongst you who are watching this won't want to dumb down your investing. On the other hand, you would be able to smarten it. Smarten your money, make it earn more by addressing the issue of choice. There is a way to translate one's worries into performance, and that is through being positive, pragmatic, questioning and decisive. It is not by being fearful and negative. Usually, the best point to start an SIP is when the markets are weak, people want to exit SIPs, nobody wants to put fresh lump sums in equity, and there is gloom all around. To me, it appears that we are around such a situation. Could it get worse? I am not the best judge, but any opportunity to increase your exposure to equity as an asset class must be welcomed, and doing it through SIPs from that point in the market cycle can never fail. Thank you very much and enjoy your investing.